Hello, welcome, all my beautiful vibrant hearts and ephemeral souls, to today's reading. I was really inspired to do this and I'm really excited, but this is going to be messages from a teacher that you used to have. For many, I'm seeing this was like an actual teacher, like your elementary school teachers. I'm seeing for some of you, this is going to be a 5th grade teacher particularly, or a teacher when you're 5. The number 5 is important. Possibly that was their classroom number. You could have had a significant teacher for 5th period. But I keep seeing that really, really heavily. And so this is just going to be a little message from that person's higher self to you. I hope you all are doing well. Pardon my voice. My allergies and asthma have been acting up extra today. So thanks for standing by. At the bottom, I deeply appreciate and value you. I feel like you cross this teacher's mind every once in a while. There's something about the way that they really valued your contributions in class. Some of you may have thought that you were speaking out of turn or being annoying, and they actually really liked what you had to offer. I also feel like you were more well-liked in your classroom than you may have realized. This teacher kind of kept an extra eye on you. They thought you had a lot of potential. This is like such a cute message already. Yeah, this is like something that they think about you. They thought you had a lot of potential. You may have kind of cycled between being shy in some areas and very outspoken in other areas, or you were like very quiet sometimes, but then you'd explode into chattiness. It's like when you open your mouth to say something, it better be worth it, right? It was good. So let's see what you've got. You are never a disappointment. Oh. Some of you, you're neurodivergent, you have learning disabilities, and this was something that you may have kind of struggled with or felt like you weren't hitting the mark, especially if everybody else was kind of doing things one way. You may have needed a little bit of extra support. Some of you have this kind of dichotomous experience where you may have been like a gifted and talented kid, but you also really struggled in other areas. Some of you struggled very much socially, but you did really well academically. There's a sense here where even if you did well academically, I feel like it's like intellectually you never got a chance to really fully stretch your legs. And there might be something where I'm feeling like an unspoken frustration. Some of you had a really hard time. It's like you can't get it out the way that you want to. A project that you had an idea for never fully would come out the way that you wanted. I'm getting a lot of frustration energy. So this teacher's coming through to kind of let you know you're never a disappointment, right? Even if you didn't get to do all the things you wanted to do, even if you didn't succeed to the level you wanted to succeed, you didn't, check all the boxes in one way or another, you were never disappointing, ever. There's almost an energy here where you may have been ahead of your time or thinking really far outside the box, and it's just because of the fact that it was a group setting. There wasn't time to do everything, right? So this teacher may have had to kind of tone your ideas down or shrink them down in size, not cut them down in size, but just kind of, okay, well, maybe we'll talk about that later, or see me after class, we can talk about that one-on-one, but right now we're going to focus on this. You may have had a lot of questions and always required a little bit of redirection to stay on task, on track. And this teacher is kind of their higher self is coming through. Again, you cross their mind a lot, especially as the years have worn on, right? Some of you, this is somebody that you knew 10 years ago. Some of you, this is somebody that you knew, 20, 30, more than that years ago. You crossed their mind a lot throughout their career. You had a lot to say. Some of you had really almost profound or prophetic ideas when you were young. And these have been things that either this teacher has seen play out in their own life, their own circles, or have kind of come to pass at a larger order. Some of you are very gifted and talented with technology. And even though that wasn't the basis of your learning experience at the time, this teacher thinks about you a lot as technology becomes an ever increasing part of our day-to-day. This is such a unique message. I really like this. I'm just taking a sip of water real quick. Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay, so we have, I am protecting you in my own special way. I only want you to feel safe and loved. Okay. I feel like this teacher had their own special way of looking out for you. Again, it's kind of like some of you knew this, you could pick up on it, or in retrospect, you went back and you thought about it. Some of you, it was feeling this person was trying to redirect you or shut you down, when in reality there's something about wanting to protect your ideas, wanting to again, it's like if they had to kind of keep if 20% of what you would bring to the table was something that kind of worked with class curriculum, it's kind of like they had to redirect you to keep the whole group on track. But they may have had special ways of showing you that they care. So if you expressed interest in something and it wasn't really something they had time for in class, they may have brought you a book about it. They may have asked to see you after class and you guys could talk about this. They may have tried to stop by your table at lunch. For some, if you were really struggling socially, possibly really struggling at home, this teacher went out of their way in their own special way to kind of keep tabs and make sure that you were okay. So this could be where, like I said, they stopped by your table at lunch. They may have invited you or asked you to help them with projects, especially during lunchtime. So I'm getting this image of like somebody who maybe they were like struggling socially, and instead of like you having to sit by yourself, this teacher may have asked like, hey, I need a hand with this, can you come by during lunch? Or almost like maybe been a little bit more gruff about it, been like, like stop by my office at this time. I'm getting this the phrase keep you out of trouble. So some of you were like too smart for your own good, but a typical classroom setting did not benefit you. It did not cater to your needs, and this teacher instead tried to give you maybe extra work or put you in extracurricular clubs and activities to kind of like help find a good outlet for this stuff for you. This teacher thinks about you a lot. So I want to kind of get some tarot, get some clarification here. The Two of Swords reversed. I actually feel like you inspired this teacher to change their way of doing something. Possibly teaching a certain principle. I'm noticing, this is Libra energy, so there's the principles. It's hard to see, there's the scales. The principles of balance are at play. So the way you do things may have kind of highlighted to this teacher where something was, out of whack, imbalanced in the way that they handled things. You may have helped this teacher find a really good balance between like justice and mercy, right? Between good boundaries and like compassion. Three of Cups. This teacher, I feel like it may have been difficult because sometimes this teacher almost, this is an energy of friendship and camaraderie. This teacher had to make sure they weren't showing you favoritism, and they had to make sure they were holding good boundaries. And I think that was a really interesting, unique challenge for them, is how to help you without favoring you or overstepping a professional boundary. And you really caused this person to think a lot. For some, if you were going through like difficulties at home or like material instability, this brought a lot, again, that Libra energy being about justice. This kind of made this teacher start thinking more about the roles that they play as a teacher and what the limitations should be, in the sense that, like, let's say, if your family went through a time where they were really struggling financially and they couldn't afford lunches, right? This may have made them think, like, let's say they had this very like fend for yourself kind of attitude, or, oh, that's not my job, that's not part of my job kind of attitude. This is where they're starting to ask themselves bigger questions about stuff like that. It feels like they have a preconceived notion and you flipped it on its ear, and that's actually really helped them become a better teacher. For some, this teacher may have had very strict classroom rules about when it's okay to talk and when it's not, or like very strict classroom rules about procedure, how we do things. I'm getting Saturn kind of energy. And you being different, or you handling things differently, they may have just had a preconceived notion about somebody who had your character traits. So like, again, if you're a chatty person, they may have just assumed, oh, they're talking in class because they're not paying attention, instead of like, oh, this person's talking in class because they have an explosion of ideas, let's talk about it. It's like you changed something and it made them, like I said, a better teacher. We have the Three of Swords at the bottom. For some, you suffered in silence a lot, and it kind of changed this teacher's sort of idea about the role that social relationships play in our learning. For some, you change this teacher's idea about the impact they can make. The King of Cups in reverse. This is so sweet. This person could have been a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I'm really drawn to the orange starfish here. This person could have been your art teacher. For some, this teacher had a lot of barriers about being emotionally involved, or like not being swayed by emotions when it comes to teaching their curriculum. And I feel like you really touched this person's heart. There's again something here about not wanting to play favorites, not wanting to appear to be playing favorites, but I think something along the lines here of like, especially with this message of I'm protecting you in my own special way. There's something along the lines here of, you know, yeah, they don't want to play favorites, but sometimes some people need a little bit extra support. Someone's got to help out, right? And that's kind of like, I'm getting like choked up. This is really cute. Yeah, the 9 of Swords in reverse. Okay. Especially if you were a really anxious kid, or you had a lot of fear about something, I feel like they felt very protective over you. Very protective. The 8 of Cups. Okay. I feel like something else I'm getting here is you inspired them. Whatever this concern was about not wanting to show favoritism, not wanting to get too emotionally involved, you made them change their mind. They walked away from that way of thinking. I get more details. The Knight of Pentacles. It feels like you caused them to, they like, you know, the Knight of Pentacles sometimes for me can have blinders on. They had one way of doing things. It was methodical. It was working. It's also Capricorn energy. They could have had kind of, you know, more of like a, you know, stern approach, right? They kind of, you know, are sort of like everybody fend for themselves, or like, again, took like more of a stern approach. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the archetypal father and like mentor, but it's also like kind of a hard ass. But the King of Cups is a very like caring, nurturing energy. It is Scorpio energy. So there's a sense here where this person, you cause this person to find a balance, right? Doesn't mean that you have to be like overly effusive or again, overly emotional, showing favoritism, because Scorpio can be kind of reserved at the same time. King of Cups doesn't really like outwardly say, you know, they're not super like verbally expressive of their love, but they show up with small gestures. So like, let's say if this person, when they were teaching, had really strict rules about this is the time that, you know, assignments are handed in. This feels like that kind of a thing a little bit. This is when assignments are handed in. This is how much it's okay to talk in class. These are the rules, and that's all there is to it. They kind of learn that it helps to be a little more flexible, a little more compassionate. You made them a better teacher. 10 of Cups, yeah. And for some, there's something here about where this person did not want to get involved in anybody's family situation. They didn't want to get emotionally involved. And especially if you were struggling with your family, struggling in the home, it made them rethink that, right? Obviously, there are professional boundaries and limitations, but it made them rethink wanting to care about something. So you may have inspired this teacher to, you know, start taking part in like after school programs that they wouldn't have otherwise done, in volunteer projects they wouldn't have otherwise done. You know, nonprofit or volunteer run organizations that help with food instability or childcare. It's something here where you inspired this person. I feel like you just inspired this person to be more open emotionally to their students and to being like a safe place for their students. Yeah, the Empress in reverse. Some of you lost a mother or had issues with a mother figure. It's like you weren't being nurtured in a certain way. Some aspect of you, even your growth, your potential wasn't being nurtured. And it made this person realize that instead of always striving to like have a certain way of doing things or conform, sometimes nurturing someone is the best way to get them to blossom, right? To bloom. There's also a sense here of those who don't have their emotional needs met, or like their, you know, their physical or like material or emotional needs met, are not going to be able to thrive. So you made them rethink a lot of really important things. They think about you a lot. I kind of want to get a couple closing cards for what they're thinking about you right now. Queen of Wands, fire sign energy here, Leo, very strongly. They feel like you can do anything. They feel like you're an incredibly capable person, even though it's the Queen of Wands, it's giving magician vibes. 7 of Swords, they wonder what you're doing now. They wonder if you've realized your full potential at this point. They wonder if anybody ever gave you that extra push. They wonder if what they did mattered, if it made a difference. I feel for many of you it did. For some, there is a family issue that they were somewhat aware of, and they wonder if it ever got resolved, if it ever came to light. For some, if you were kind of heading down maybe not such a great path, or it's like you were struggling in school and there was kind of, again, like on the line, there's something I was talking about before about trying to keep you out of trouble. They wondered if it helped, if it worked, if it stuck. The Star in reverse, many of you, they wondered if you ever got help, if you ever got healing. They wondered if your dreams came true. They wondered if you held on to your dreams. A lot of them saw you as very, very gifted, even otherworldly, ahead of your time. And they wondered if you ever figured that out about yourself. And if so, if you harnessed it with that Queen of Wands. Six of Pentacles reversed. If you got what you deserved in a good way. If you finally got the happy ending you deserved. So that's what I'm seeing for you guys. This was actually really lovely. I hope this helped. Be well, take care, and good luck out there.